Hello to all my evolving souls and spiritual warriors out there, and welcome to Soul Speak with Jenny Israel. It's no accident that you were drawn here. Your soul is speaking to you. No matter what stage of your spiritual journey you are in, you've been called here to learn what you need to know, to heal, level up, and discover your deeper purpose. I am so excited to embark on this spiritual journey with you. As you listen, you will begin to notice that Spirit is speaking through me to you. No matter the topic, there's always a personal message for each individual tuning in. Your guides are supporting you and blanketing you with unconditional love, as well as providing you with the tools you need to live your best life and become the best version of yourself. I believe this podcast manifested itself because you needed to hear these messages right now. And you needed to learn that you have the power to co-create your life and find a deep sense of peace and happiness. This is my first episode of many to come, and today we're going to be talking about the magical 1111 gateway. So take this time to relax and enjoy the words that were meant for you. Hello, and welcome to your spiritual journey. Right now, your soul is speaking to you. I'm Jenny Israel, and I'm a medical intuitive, energy healer, spiritual activator, counselor, and teacher. It is my mission to help you learn the tools you need to heal your life and discover your deeper purpose. In each episode, I will allow Spirit to speak through me, and we will explore energy forecasting, teach you how to raise your vibration for overall wellness, increase your emotional intelligence to open up joy in your life, and guide you into spiritual evolution using topics such as energy healing, emotion code, sacred geometry, numerology, tarot, crystals, channeling, and much more. Take a deep inhale, let it out, and listen to your soul speak to you. Hey guys, welcome to Soul Speak with Jenny Israel. I am so excited that you decided to join me here for my first official podcast on this new channel. And today we're going to talk about the 1111 Gateway. Today is 11/11/2020, and I do feel that this year's 1111 portal is definitely going to be a little bit more significant than potentially 1111s before now. So let's first talk about the number 1111. For those of you who are spiritual souls and tuned in, the number 1111 is not going to be new to you. In fact, most of those that walk in these circles are often looking for the 1111 as a sign that they are tuned in, that their spirit guides are with them, and that all things are synchronistic in their path. And so I wanted to start out for those of you who aren't very familiar with the 1111 significance, just starting there. So the number 11 is considered a master number, looking at the number 1 as almost an energetic pillar that reaches from earth to the divine, a connection of the physical and energetic worlds, and between which we find the portal to the realm of spirit. So it becomes almost this portal of light or information exchange that can happen between the physical realm and the spirit realm. Thinking about it in the terms of almost the binary code of the matrix, they consider the 1111 almost like a glitch in the matrix, where it opens this doorway to allow our spirit guides to speak to us, to send messages, to send us downloads of information, helping us upgrade, helping us ascend, and helping our path of spiritual expansion. So why is it more significant this year? Well, we are looking at a master number year when we look at the date all combined. So, this is a little bit of numerology that we're going to be talking about. We've got the 11, 11, 20, 20. So, when we add those numbers up, we end up with a 44. So, we're going with the double master number of 11, which gives us that power of co creation, of manifestation, of awakening, watching your thoughts, watching synchronicities, being open to new developments, the angels letting you know that you're very supported wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And we look at that added up to 11 and 11 is 4. And then we have the year of 2020, which is also 4, which we're now looking at that master number of 44. So the number 4, and for those of you who follow me, I did actually I did a YouTube video on the 4D, and the potential vibration of that 4D, and that we might be in it right now, and that this number 4 of the 4 ones in the 1111 kind of being these 4 pillars or these 4 walls that create a square. Now, if we look at the vibration of the 4, there's a couple of different things that come in there. So we think about the shape of the square, which is very foundational, very, very foundational. And the vibration of the 4 is about building in the material world and using the balance of everything that we've learned from the 1 to the 4, which, if you look in numerology, there is a journey that occurs through the vibration of numbers. The same way that, if you're familiar with the tarot, if you look at the major arcana cards, they tell a story. It's a spiritual evolution from 1 and up from there. So the 4 is about building foundations. It's about strength. It's about authority. It's the Emperor card in the major arcana. And when we think about the square as far as the platonic solids, it associates with the root chakra, which is also all about safety, stability, foundations, security, those kinds of things, meeting our basic needs for survival so we can move ahead with emotional intelligence and a higher level of spiritual intelligence because we have this very strong foundation to stand on. And it's really interesting to look at the relationship between the 1111 and the 4, because the 1111 teaches us about the spiritual connection to our earth and how we are souls here having a human experience and the ability to co-create our reality through the power of our thoughts, through the power of our emotions, the power of our actions, and being in partnership with Creator here in the material world to bring forth our desires and to be able to experience success and pleasure and abundance and wealth and in all of the ways that it can be presented to us in our material world. So we're in a 4 year, that's the 2020 adds up to 4. And so this has very much been a year about building new foundations, figuring out where we feel safe, where our support systems are, where our structures are. And the other side of that, watching a lot of our external and internal structures collapse, things that we have built identity on, things that we've relied on for many generations, seeing a lot of these things kind of fall apart right now. And so it has been an internal journey this year, a journey about going within to figure out where our true support is, where our true securities lie, and how we fit into that. So much of our lives, we depend on external validation to make us feel safe and show us the way and tell us how to be happy. And we've learned very much this year that if we really want the long lasting answers, we have to turn within to figure out what the answers are to those questions. And so what's really interesting about this master number 44 that's coming out of our 11/11/2020 this year is that if you look at the meaning of the 44, a lot of people do also associate the 44 with the angelic realm, just like we associate the 1111 as the spirit realm speaking to us. And more often than not, the archangel that I'm working with is Archangel Metatron. And he is called the Grand Architect. He works with the frequencies inside of sacred geometry. I mean, if you look at our world, everything is frequency, everything is energy. And what is the language of energy? Science and math come together with spirit in that way, which is really cool. And I think the closer we get to this vibration of the Age of Aquarius, the more this is going to become part of our everyday lives, where we see the synchronicities and connections between these two things. And Metatron is the angelic force that brings this into matter for us, shows us the connection between spirit and science. Truly, it's almost as if he is like the architect of the Holy Spirit. So creator says, bring this into being. Metatron brings forth the frequencies in a blueprint and delivers it out to humanity and says, here it is, here's your blueprint, here are your frequencies, bring this into form, make it happen, co-create this. And they say that he is so good at this because of the fact that they say he was once human. He said that he was Enoch. And so he is our builder angel when you think about it like that, the grand architect of frequencies. And inside of the language of numbers, it really becomes quite synchronistic when we're looking at this year and the 1111 portal. A lot of people who work with Metatron do associate the 1111 portal with him because of his work inside of numbers, because of his work inside of frequency. It's just the perfect marriage. And so he is the builder also. And we're looking at the vibration of the 4, the builder number. We're looking at now the double 44, the master level 44, which is, it's time to plan for your proper foundation. It's keeping the bigger picture in focus, staying grounded inside of your plans, inside of this material world. We can still look to spirit for guidance, but when it comes to the earth, we are building from matter. And so it's taking the two things and creating balance in the plan that you have to go forward. The 44 then reduces to an 8. 4 plus 4 is 8. And so when we look at the vibration of 8 now, 8 is very associated with the material world. It's also associated with the law of reciprocity, which is karma, and the law of manifestation. So you turn it on its side, what you get? You get the infinity sign. So what goes out comes back. What goes out comes back. And it's an everlasting cycle, right? The infinity. So we're looking at the vibration of 8 now, wealth, abundance. But in this case, we're looking at it very much from the perspective of balance and reciprocity, meaning you're staying aligned with what is very true and right inside of you. Where is your moral compass? Where is your balance? How are you creating? Where are you creating from? Is it from a place of desire to be in service? And there's nothing wrong with being in service to self if you can also see the bigger picture of that, of how it will be in service to the highest good. But these vibrations are asking you, what have you built this year? Where are you going? And what's really interesting is that we have this 1111 portal coming. And I've always thought of the 1111 portal as being almost like our spiritual New Year's Eve, or in the Jewish tradition, like a Yom Kippur. So we're given this opportunity to look at our life from the last year, from looking back at a perspective of what have we accomplished? What do we need to let go of? Where do we need to admit responsibility? Where do we want forgiveness? Where do we want to build forward? What are our achievements? All of the things that we have accomplished over the course of the year. And then what's our resolution moving into the next year? And some of that is, what are we going to take with us? What do you not want to take with you through this portal? If this is one of the most potent and powerful manifestation and awakening moments of the year. Whatever it is that you're taking with you through that portal then plays into your next year. And what are you going to be building in that next year? What are you going to be manifesting? What goals are you setting? And so I find this very important time on a spiritual level between the 8/8, which is August 8th, also known as the Lion's Gate portal, and the 11/11 portal. And oftentimes I do find that the things that are happening between those two portals, between August and November, are quite important when we look at the things that we are organizing, that we are preparing for, that we're taking action around, how we're taking care of ourselves, how we're taking care of each other. There's a lot that happens in between those two portals, and on a very karmic level as well. It's what lessons are you learning? What can you put down? What new things are you initiating? And I'm not referencing karma as in a bad way. Karma is just the law of reciprocity. It's what you put out comes back with no label on it. The same goes for the word consequence. It's just something that happens in effect of another thing happening. It doesn't necessarily have to have a negative tone to it unless you assign a negative tone to it. So inside of this significance of moving forward through this portal, and we think about the vibration of these numbers we're looking at our pillars that connect us from earth into the divine. Okay, we've got 4 of those creating the square. Okay, or like the 4 corners of a building, the 4 elements, the 4 cardinal directions. We're looking at structure here. We're looking at form, secure, stable form, and purpose inside of that form, to be able to have clear direction, to be able to build whatever it is that you're building on this very strong, solid foundation. Then we take that into the date of 11/11/2020, and we look at how those numbers start to add up. And we're being asked more and more inside of all of these vibrations to go within and find our truth. And I think that the truth that a lot of us are discovering this year is much more internal than it ever has been, because a lot of our external sources that we did trust and rely upon now are suddenly in question, even spiritual leaders. So there's just some really interesting paradigms that are coming to the surface to be looked at more so than ever inside of our evolution as souls having a human experience. And I want to keep emphasizing that because there's so much more happening right now than just our 3-dimensional human world. So much more happening inside of us, not just avatars moving around on this earth. We're truly starting to wake up, and we're looking for deeper connections. We're looking for deeper purpose. We're looking for truth inside of us. Where are our values? Where do our morals lie? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? Releasing old identity structures that suddenly don't fit anymore, given the new structure of the world. And also not really knowing where we're going. So much is unknown now. Whereas, at least before, we were somewhat able to ground ourselves in the day to day. And it's a little bit more difficult to do that now. We're really being pushed into the moment, to really be in the now. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? What's going on inside of my body? What's going on with my health? What's happening inside of my relationships? Are these things serving me? And am I serving? And so let's take a look at that vibration and that theme inside of what's some of the planet stuff that's been going on. I find it fascinating that November 12th, the day after our 11/11 portal, Mars is going to go direct. And it's been in retrograde since the beginning of September. And what does the Mars retrograde mean? What is that all about? It really has pushed us. Mars was in retrograde in Aries. And so Mars rules Aries. Aries is all about the number 1. Here we go, back to the vibration of the 1 again. But Aries is all about number one. Aries in its illuminated state is about having balanced power inside of self, of about being able to drive forward with passion and purpose and get things done, but in a greater service, not just serving themselves. And so Mars in retrograde in Aries has actually helped us draw within and start to question these things, figure out what needs to change. It has really slowed us down. This planet is very related to medical energy as well. So as the power of Mars has kind of pulled back into retrograde, we've almost been forced to slow down because our life force energy was greatly reduced, and even medical problems started to kind of come to the surface because of this. So it might have been a physical ailment that actually slowed you down, or potentially it just slowed action down in your world. So inside of career, relationship, health, wherever it happened to affect you personally inside of your chart, it slowed you down. And inside of that slowing down, it shoved us inward into the introspective one, making it all about me from the perspective of who are we serving? Who am I serving? Am I serving myself? Is there misplaced power here? Am I serving only myself and not providing to others, not being in service to others? Have I misplaced all of my power out onto someone else? Am I serving someone else? Am I serving these political powers? Am I serving, authority figures in my job? Have I put my place into servitude instead of in balanced service? And starting to see these patterns show up inside of your life that aren't working for you anymore. This time has been very introspective. By the way, there's like 6 or 7 other planets that have been in retrograde. So you can get in touch with your astrologer and find out more about how this was affecting you. But I just found it very interesting that our planet of war, our planet of action, our planet of passion and purpose is going direct the day after we go through this very powerful awakening portal. And after we've had time to think about, where are we in service to ourselves, to others? Where is our balance inside of our connection, a deeper connection? And we're about to go active with this. We're about to go back into action. And what are you going to bring with you in this case? So thinking about all of the things that you've been in review of over the course of this last year, which has really driven us into our internal structures in a really big way. I guarantee that each of you has something in your life that has become painfully transparent as far as the systems that aren't working for you anymore. And some of those changes may have already been made. They might be in the process of being made right now. Perhaps you're just discovering this new level of self-awareness for the first time, and your identity is starting to shift and you're a little bit of a crisis. No matter where you are, it's okay. And this new balance, and you've heard me say it a few times so far in what we've been discussing, but talking about this relationship between earth and spirit, science and spirit, head and heart, this place of just kind of blindly walking through life inside of the head, allowing our ego to guide us instead of really digging down, being inside that internal compass to feel our way into something. And this last year, we have been tossed around inside of those structures, and we're being taught that we can't always think our way through things. Sometimes we have to go back into our feelings. We've got to figure out where our true north is. And we can't necessarily do that through ego because there's so much fear programming there that it can kind of blind us and put us inside of a box. And if there's anything that this year has put in front of us, it is the power of our limitations, and that we need to be able to think outside of the box. And the 1111 square, or the 1111 box, if you will, is this whole new dynamic that adds multidimensional opportunity to this. So we can take ourselves to a whole new level when it comes to our power to co-create our future, because we have new perspective. We have emotional intelligence. We have mental intellect. We have spirit guiding us. We have all of these different areas of life that are starting to play in that most of us just cannot ignore anymore. And the imbalance in our lives has become very apparent and has been asking for change. And so this 1111 for 2020 potentially could be our official doorway into the Age of Aquarius. The Age of Aquarius is our 5D. It is the age of self as God. It's where we finally realize our true selves, but from a balanced perspective. We find our true north inside of our moral compass. What is right? What is wrong? And what does that look like from a balanced perspective? It's coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of harmony. It's coming from a place of respect for ourselves and for each other. It's not from ego. It's not from fear. It's the vibration of the 8, what we were talking about. It's about understanding our powers as manifestors, our power as co-creators inside of our reality, because we are in partnership with God. We're not in servitude anymore. We are understanding our power. We are understanding the love vibrations. We are understanding forgiveness. We are understanding that we are all very different inside of our energy signatures, but that ultimately we all want the same thing. And so it doesn't mean that we all have to believe the same thing and be a cookie cutter version of each other. That's not what unity is about. Unity is not about looking exactly like the person standing next to you. Unity is about being able to stand in your truth and understand that the person sitting across from you also has a truth, and that you understand that, and that you have respect for that, and you have love and compassion for where they are in their journey, and that it does not threaten you anymore, because you are standing inside of your power and on your very solid and stable foundation that you have created for yourself through the balance of your abilities to be multidimensional and see things from many different perspectives. This is where spiritual leaders, astrologers, we've been talking about the Age of Aquarius for a very long time. And although they're not exactly sure, when we might pop into the official Age of Aquarius, a lot of people are talking about it like it is really happening right now. And if we haven't literally walked through the doorway, we certainly are in the pre-shadow phase of it. We are leading and we're doing the work right now so we can get there. And so the more I started to look at this year's 1111 gateway, the more I realized that we potentially could be walking through the gateway to the Age of Aquarius this year, and looking at this vibration of the 8 of this day, and then thinking about the story that the 8 tells, and you turn it on its side into infinity. We start looking very deeply at that law of reciprocity. And you have to think about that from your perspective of what are you putting out there? What belief systems and truth systems do you have functioning and are active right now that are guiding you to put out certain responses? And what are the vibration of those responses? Are you being compassionate? Are you offering space for another person to have their own truth and express that without feeling threatened? Or are you in defensive mode right now? Do you feel that you are being threatened in some way and that your stability is going to be taken from you? This is how we can see where we have displaced our personal power. Have you given your power away to someone else to decide your life for you? Or are you finding your way back to yourself, or maybe a new version of yourself in this death and rebirth process that is the constant in our lives. It's the other function of the 8. Things are constantly in change. It's the only constant that we have in our lives. And so, are you rebirthing into a better version of yourself that has these higher vibrations of what we would consider the 5D and what we would consider the Age of Aquarius? There's always going to be work to do. There's always going to be searches within. But this year has had so much to teach us. And this portal, I believe, is a very, very important gateway. And so no matter when you're listening to this, let's say you didn't get to this recording until, 2 or 3 days after, a week after, a month after 11/11. The wonderful thing about being multidimensional is that all time is now. And you've never missed an opportunity to be a better version of yourself. And so what we do today is we set the intention moving forward into our new year that we are going to be the best version of ourselves. Not worrying about what other people are doing, not necessarily even what's going on outside of your door. But if you are making changes to be the best version of yourself each and every day, imagine if everybody was doing that. It would be such a wonderful world to live in. And we are on our way. As much of a roller coaster ride as we are on right now, we are all in it together. We're all in the same ride. So make sure you look over to your neighbor. Acknowledge the collective, because we are all in this together. And so I leave you with that message today. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to my first podcast about the 11/11 portal. It's a really important day for all of us. It's an important day for humanity. So take a little bit of time today to reflect, say a prayer, do a little ritual of self-care, and know that the love is coming from Spirit, the love is coming from me. And until next time, blessings to all. Thank you for tuning in and listening to Soul Speak. I'm Jenny Israel, medical intuitive, energy healer, spiritual activator, counselor, and teacher. You can learn more by following me on Facebook or Instagram at Jenny Israel CPC. That's Jenny Israel, and then the letter CPC. If you would like to receive more messages from Spirit directly to your mailbox, visit jennyisrael.com, scroll down to the bottom, and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also contact me through my website or social media to set up a one-on-one session or to check out my upcoming spiritual development classes. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please help support my show by giving it a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts. Spirit and I will speak to you again soon. Blessings and light to all.